came from the individualistic culture, point of view, and said, what, you aren't your own person? You mean he has to know everything you do? Can't you just make up your own mind? You're too codependent. I felt bad. I didn't know if what I was thinking was okay. But that was my mindset as a Filipino. I don't do things unless I talk to someone else first. But she made me feel bad. So I wasn't sure about being in her group. Anyway, so those are the kind of conflicts people come up in when we are raised in two cultures. So when Filipinos get together, it's always what? Cousins. Everybody's a cousin. Everybody's connected in some way. Everybody's a cousin. Also, everybody has titles. In a Filipino culture, everybody has a title. So if you don't know who these folks are, you still call them aunt and uncle. Okay? It's just a title of respect. If you do know who they are, then you call them by their names, but you do with tremendous amount. You call them uncle someone, you know. But you always use those terms. Some people you know pretty well, and you have more familiar names, but there's always a title and a sign of respect. Okay. So there's this whole connection about being connected as a group. So I just wanted to give you that and talk a little bit about my father's background. Came here when he was 16 years old. He lied to the government, told them he was 18. And he came on a boat with about 800 other Filipinos. And he started to work as a laborer. We have to remember that he was probably the second wave of Filipinos to come during the time of the 20s. The first actually who came to the U.S. were actually businessmen, educators, economics majors, businessmen, bankers, because the U.S. government had invited those individuals to come and learn about democracy. So originally Filipinos didn't come as laborers, they came as equals, or with that sense of what it meant to be that. It changed much later when we became part of the working force in the U.S., which included the Chinese and Japanese, Indians, and Pakistanis. A lot of Indians and Pakistanis came here as laborers back in the 20s. So we became part of that force. But I wanted you to know, and that's because when the Americans came to colonialize the U.S., they had indicated that we were considered equal to their citizenships that was already here in this country. So that's how we got to this country, considered as being equal. They do the same with Puerto Rico. Puerto Ricans are seen as able to go back and forth from Puerto Rico to the U.S. because there's this privilege that they have been given by the U.S. government. Okay. So I just wanted to give you that. So what I want to do next is show you this video of this tape of my father. Oh, I forgot one more thing. I really forgot this thing. 3 things. Wow, one more thing before I show this. Community. I want to go back to community. One of the things I know about coming from an immigrant background, there were 3 things that were really important about maintaining your ethnic identity and cultural values. You had to create a sense of psychological home, right? Psychological home, that means how you are going to maintain your identity. Psychological home, and sometimes it was like what you know now is that people group together. That's psychological home in a country that's not theirs. They will live together, they live in certain parts of town, they will have certain businesses, they will do certain kinds of jobs, and they are all connected. So that's psychological sense of home. The other one is reciprocal obligation. In a collective culture, you always want to give back. The point is you give back. So in other countries that are also reciprocal, like the Latino cultures, the concept of giving back money to the family of origin becomes very significantly important. People are always saying, I'm giving money, I'm saving my money to give back. So giving back. So in our culture, we want to make sure that we are always in some way giving back. So we talk about that a lot. And you know, as my father said, I'm doing this for you. You're going to, I did stoop labor. I'm doing this for you so that you don't have to do this, and you will give back to the rest of the family. I will give back in some way. It's financial, usually, but there are other ways that people give back, which means that they are very close to their family and are there for them as needed. Okay. So people like stay close. You know, a lot of college students don't go too far away from their home if they're from a collective culture, because they got to run home as needed. And then the other one is family loyalty. And it's really important that there's a sense of connectedness and that you're really loyal to your family. My father was really loyal to his family, the Betita clan, because he actually brings his cousins and his brothers, she tried to do both of his brothers, but his cousins to the U.S. He brings them all so they can all live here. There's actually 7 or 8 Betita families in Arroyo Grande, all connected in some by the elders. But there's about 300 or 400 in Arroyo Grande. You would know that. We're all here. But there's this large Betita clan. But my father was very loyal to his family and helped bring his cousins here to the U.S. Okay, so I just want to give you that. And you will see in the pictures, and when he talks, that's what he's talking about. He's talking about reciprocal obligation. He's talking about the psychological need for home. And he's also talking about loyalty to his family. And he does it in different ways. Okay, so we're going to show this. And I had handouts for you because sometimes it's really hard oh, you have those. This is part of the tape I did on my father.